Hi there, and today I'm going to do a new series on history of sports teams. And today I'm going to be doing the Washington Nationals. So, the Washington Nationals started out in 1969 as the Montreal Expos. They started the same year as the San Diego Padres. They were named after the Expo 67 World's Fair in Montreal. Um, they struggled the first few seasons. Normal expansion team struggles. And then in 1977, the team's home venue was Montreal Olympic Stadium, built for the Summer Olympics in 1976. In the 1980s, they became a good team with Gary Carter, Tim Raines, and Andre Dawson, along with pitchers Steve Rogers and Bill Gullickson. The team won its only division championship in the strike-shortened season of 1981, which is where they played the Dodgers in the NLDS and lost in Game 5 because of Steve Rogers gave up a home run to Rick Monday. They missed the playoffs multiple times because they became second best record in baseball, but the best record in baseball was the Phillies or someone else in their division. They then got later in 1994. This is the very good season that was ended by a strike. They had Larry Walker, Moises Alou, Marquise Grissom, Pedro Martinez, along with some of the others from before. And the season ended. That was the one year where they were doing very well. They were the best team in baseball, and then they ran out of money in 1995. Then Jeffrey Loria bought the team in 1999. And he failed on the plan to build the ballpark because of it would have to build a new ballpark because it would have to be in the heart of Montreal. And turns out Montreal didn't really like the team that much, the city of it, because they didn't really want it, because stuff that had happened earlier, like a bunch of complicated legal stuff that's kind of hard to go into. And Loria did not get English radio broadcast, so it was only in French, since they're in the French-speaking state, Quebec, or province, Quebec of Canada. Then 2001, contraction. Major League Baseball's owners voted 28-2 to contract the league by 2 teams. Expos and Twins both voted against contraction. And it was just bad. And 2004 was the last season in Montreal. It was a 5-year contraction plan that ended in 2006, 1 year after the Nationals were created. So they've been looking for some of the things were relocations for the team. So I'll just list out some of the places. Oklahoma City was one option. San Juan, Puerto Rico was an option, where actually some Expos games were played due because they weren't allowed back in Canada for a while. Monterrey, Mexico. That's the baseball town from The Perfect Game. If you've never seen that movie, it's a very good movie. You should watch it. Portland, Oregon. Somewhere in Northern Virginia. Arlington or Dulles, which are just outside D.C. Norfolk, which is in southeastern Virginia. Las Vegas, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Washington and Virginia emerged as the frontrunners. Expos played their final game on October 3rd, Shea Stadium, in an 8-1 loss. The same opponent that faced the Expos 35 years earlier on their first game. Numerous professional baseball teams have called DC their home, and they've both not been very successful, except for the first Washington Senators that won a World Series in 1924 and won the AL pennant in 1933. Both of them were American League teams. They moved in 1960 to become the Twins. A second Senators franchise that came the next year only had 10 years or 11 years playing. They moved to the Rangers, and they didn't get to finish the last game due to fans riding the field. The Nationals played their first 3 seasons, the 2005, 2006, and 2007 season, in the stadium RFK, the same place the Washington Redskins played. The Orioles owner, Peter Angelos, did not want a team there without holding the TV rights, and thus why both teams have games broadcasted on Mass and Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, which was mostly Orioles, and Orioles are still favored on that network. The Nationals got a new stadium, Nationals Park, in 2008, in the heart of DC, southeast. It's very close to Maryland and Virginia, across the Potomac from Virginia and across to Anacostia from Maryland. 2006, 2007, there was not very many prospects because the Expos wanted to stay in Montreal, and they sold off the farm to get these people up front, and the team was not very successful. Ryan Zimmerman was the first pick by the Nationals in the 2005 draft, and he came up at the end of 2005. The Washington Nationals struggled until 2012, where they were the best team in the National League. They lost to the Dodgers in 5 games after Jason Worth's season-saving walk-off home run in Game 4. They did not make the 2013 playoffs. But in 2014, under manager Matt Williams, who replaced Davey Johnson, they clinched the division in September 16th, and they clinched the division, and the last game of the season, September 28th, Jordan Zimmerman threw a no-hitter. They made the playoffs, but lost to the Dodgers. I'm sorry, 2012 they did not lose to the Dodgers, they lost to the Cardinals. 2014 they lost to the Giants in 2014 in just 4 games, losing it on the road because they were, again, the best team in the National League. 2017 and 2016, they both made the playoffs. 2016, they played the Dodgers, lost in 5 at home. They lost in 5 to the Cubs at home in 2017. 2018, they did not make the playoffs at all. In 2019, they won the World Series. They started out their first 50 games 19 wins and 31 losses, and came back to have a 93-69 record. They only lost 38 games of their next 112. which was the best record in baseball from that time period. They played the Milwaukee Brewers hosting the wild card, and they had a 4-3 victory, which they were down 3-1 till the 8th inning when Juan Soto then hit a double that knocked in 3 runs. Then they played the Dodgers, and Anthony Rendon and Juan Soto hit back-to-back home runs to tie the game in the 8th. The game went to 10 innings when Howie Kendrick hit a grand slam, and Game 5 was over, 7-3 final score. Then they went to play the Cardinals and swept them in 4 games in the NLCS. And then they played the weird World Series where no home team won a game. They won it in Game 7 by a score of 6-2. And the team's franchise's first World Series. 2020, they did not make the playoffs. They were worst in the division. They had a bad year, obviously, with starting pitching issues, a pitching staff that had gotten them to the World Series and through. In the 2020 offseason, they signed John Lester and Kyle Schwarber. Those are their top signings. And they traded for Pirates first baseman Josh Bell. They now play in 2017, another thing I should say, they spent their first spring training in West Palm Beach before they were in Vieira. That's where the Expos had their spring training. And the stadium and stuff was just too old, the practice facility, so they bunched up with the Astros in West Palm Beach, and that's where they are right at this moment practicing. Well, not at 5:58 p.m. when it starts, but that's where they are now. So, thank you for listening to this video of the Washington Nationals history. Be sure to tune in for the next one.